When the door was pushed open, I was staring blankly at the text message sent by my mobile banking app. Your account ending in 7788 completed a transfer transaction at 1547 on December 15th, amounting to -10.00.0000 yuan, leaving a balance of 3.217.45 yuan. 10 million. This year's dividends for our company. Just like that. It's gone. Footsteps echoed from the doorway into the living room. High heels clicking crisply and quickly on the marble floor. Yi Mengshu tossed her six-figure Hermes bag onto the sofa as if it were a bag of trash. Zhou Wenbin, did you see the text message? She didn't change her shoes or even look at me. She went straight to the liquor cabinet and poured herself a glass of whiskey. The sound of ice cubes hitting the glass was particularly jarring in the overly quiet living room. I looked up at the woman I had been married to for 7 years. Yi Mengshu was wearing a white Chanel suit today, which made her skin look very fair. She is 33 years old this year, but she takes good care of herself and looks like she is 27 or 28. Her hair is permed with the most popular French curls at the moment, and her makeup is exquisite down to every single eyelash. She took a sip of wine, her Adam's apple bobbing slightly, before turning around to look at me. I transferred that money to Zimming, she said casually, as if she were just saying the weather was nice today. His company is a bit short on cash and needs some working capital. Su Zimming. This name is like a needle, piercing my brain unexpectedly. My knuckles started to turn white as I gripped the phone, but my voice remained calm. Yi Mengshu. That's my share of the profits. Yours? She raised an eyebrow, as if she had heard a joke. Zhou Wenbin. Have you forgotten that the company got to where it is today thanks to the 3 million yuan startup capital my father invested back then? You've been managing the company all these years, and I've never interfered. But if you really want to be honest, this company belongs to the Yi family, not the Zhou family. She walked up to me and looked down at me sitting on the sofa. The living room chandelier was very bright, making the diamond earrings on her earlobes sparkle. They were a wedding anniversary gift I gave her last year, worth over 300.000 yuan. She said she liked them, so I bought them without even blinking. Looking back now, it's quite laughable. I've looked at Zimming's project. It has a very good future. Yi Mengshu continued, her tone carrying that usual unquestionable certainty. Consider this money an investment. You should break even by the end of the year, and maybe even make a profit. You can't possibly lack that much vision, can you? I stared at her lips, painted with bright red lipstick, opening and closing, and suddenly felt a little breathless. The sky outside the window had already darkened. Winter days are short, and even though it was only a little past 5, the neon lights began to illuminate one by one. From this floor-to-ceiling window on the 28th floor, you can overlook half of the city's night view. We bought this large apartment in our 3rd year of marriage. At the time, Yi Mengshu said she liked the view here, so I paid over 40 million yuan in full. The property certificate is in her name. Besides, Yi Mengshu placed her wine glass on the coffee table with a soft thud. The family isn't short of money. Your annual salary and bonus this year are more than enough. After she finished speaking, she turned and walked towards the dressing room. After taking 2 steps, she stopped and turned back to add, by the way, next Friday is Zimming's birthday. I've booked a private room at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. Remember to make sure you have time for it. I've already prepared your gift. You can just bring it over. The door to the walk-in closet opened and closed. I sat on the sofa, maintaining the same posture, for who knows how long. The phone screen went dark. Then I turned it back on and stared at the text message for a long time. 10 million, followed by 7 zeros. I'd seen this number before. Every time the company dividends arrived, I'd transfer them to Yi Mengshu immediately. She said she was good at family asset management, and I believed her. 7 years have passed. I gave a self-deprecating twitch at the corner of my mouth. 7 years is enough time to completely deceive a person, inside and out. The air conditioner in the living room was on full blast, but I still felt cold. It was a cold that seeped into my bones, and I couldn't warm myself up no matter what I did. I stood up and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window. My reflection appeared in the glass, 38 years old, with fine lines around my eyes. And although my hair was still thick, a few gray hairs were visible at my temples. I was wearing an ordinary gray cashmere sweater, which Yi Mengshu bought for me online 3 years ago for a little over 600 yuan. She said the color suited me. so I've been wearing it ever since. Below, the elevated highway teems with traffic, its red taillights forming a flowing river of light. This city is always so bustling, always so crowded. Yet at this moment, I feel terribly empty. There were rustling sounds coming from the walk-in closet. It must be Yi Mengshu changing clothes. Every time she came back from going out, the first thing she did was change her clothes, saying they were covered in dust and bacteria. She'd had this habit since the first day of their marriage. I used to think it was called being refined, but now I think it was probably just a matter of being clean. My phone vibrated. I looked down and saw a WeChat message from my assistant. Xiao Chun, Mr. Zhou. Mr. Yi has also transferred the funds for the West District project. The finance department is asking if we want it back. The message wasn't finished, but I understood what it meant. I replied okay, and then put my phone back in my pocket. The door to the walk-in closet opened, and Yi Mengshu emerged, dressed in a silk robe, her hair loosely tied back. She glanced at me, her tone softening slightly. What are you still standing there for? Sister Zhang should have dinner ready by now. Go eat. Sister Zhang is our family's nanny. She's been working here for 5 years. I turned and walked towards the dining room, with Yi Mengshu following behind me. As I passed the entryway, I saw a pair of men's slippers next to the shoe cabinet. They were brand new and not my size. My slippers are always placed in the innermost position, those brown ones that are already a bit deformed from wear. These new ones are dark gray, size 43. I wear size 42. Oh, those are for Zimming. Yi Mengshu glanced at them following my gaze and explained naturally. He sometimes comes over to talk business, and you can't expect him to wear shoe covers. Can you? That would be impolite. I didn't say anything, but pulled out a chair and sat down. Sister Zhang had already laid out all the dishes, 4 dishes and a soup. Very homestyle cooking. Yi Mengshu sat down opposite me and picked up her chopsticks to take a piece of steamed fish. She ate very elegantly, taking small bites and making almost no sound. Oh, right, she said, halfway through her meal, when she suddenly remembered something. My parents are going to Sanya for New Year's Day vacation. Why don't you come along? Zimming happens to have a project in Sanya, so you can play golf with my dad. My chopsticks paused for a moment as I picked up some food. I have to work overtime on New Year's Day. I said, it's the end of the year, and there's a lot going on at the company. How much could it be? Yi Mengshu frowned. Zhou Wenbin, stop using work as an excuse. My dad has said several times that he wants to have a serious talk with you about the company's next development plan. Zimming has a lot of ideas in this area. You two can exchange ideas more. I put the broccoli in my mouth, chewed it for a long time, and then swallowed it. Okay, I said. I'll try my best to arrange it. Yi Mengshu's expression softened. She ladled out a bowl of soup, sipped it slowly, and didn't look at me again. The restaurant was quiet, with only the soft clatter of bowls and chopsticks. Sister Zhang was tidying up in the kitchen, the tap running intermittently. About 20 minutes into the meal, Yi Mengshu received a phone call and went to the balcony. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I could see that she had her back to me. Her shoulders were shrugging slightly, and she would occasionally laugh out loud. I haven't seen that smile in a long time. At least, it's been a long time since it's shown itself to me. I put down my chopsticks. There was still more than half a bowl of rice left in the bowl. I'm full, I said. Yi Mengshu waved her hand with her back to me, indicating that she understood. I got up and left the dining room, walked to the study door, and glanced back. She was still on the phone, her profile reflected in the glass door of the balcony, her features soft and her lips upturned. I gently closed the study door. The study is the only space in this house that is entirely mine. It's 20 square meters, with a whole wall of bookshelves, a solid wood desk, and an ergonomic chair. When we were decorating, Yi Mengshu said the study should be decorated in light colors to make it brighter, but I insisted on using dark walnut bookshelves and a dark gray carpet. She was very unhappy at the time, saying that my aesthetic sense was outdated. But I just like the feeling of being enveloped in dark colors. It makes me feel safe. I sat down at my desk and turned on my computer. There were more than 30 unread emails in my inbox, most of them work-related. I went through them one by one, processing them for about an hour, and then opened the quarterly report that the finance department had sent that afternoon. The company's performance this year has actually been quite good, with net profit increasing by 18% compared to the same period last year. However, cash flow is very tight, and payments for several projects have been delayed for a long time. The CFO subtly mentioned in an email that Mr. Yi transferred two sums of money from the company's account this month, one of 5 million and the other of 3 million, saying it was for family asset management. I stared at those two lines of text for a long time. Then I opened another encrypted folder, which contained all the company's financial data from the past 7 years, as well as Yi Mengshu's personal account transfer records. Yes, I've been paying attention for a while now. It all started 3 years ago when I first saw Yi Mengshu's chat history with Su Ziming on her phone. There wasn't anything explicit, just everyday greetings, and occasionally sharing music and movies. But when Yi Mengshu chatted with me, she never used that tone that was a little coquettish, a little dependent, a little inexplicably intimate. I didn't point it out at the time, but I silently remembered the name Su Ziming. Then I started searching. This investigation lasted for 3 years. Su Ziming, 2 years younger than Yi Mengshu, was a returnee from overseas, majoring in finance. After returning to China, he started an investment company. On the surface, his resume was impressive, and he seemed like a respectable person. But digging deeper revealed many problems. His investment company had changed its registered address 4 times in 3 years. Its shareholders had changed 6 times. And of the dozen or so projects it participated in, more than half had failed, and the rest were barely surviving. But despite being such a person, Yi Mengshu had complete faith in him. No, it's not just about having unwavering faith. I minimized the folder, leaned back in my chair, and closed my eyes. Over the past 3 years, Yi Mengshu has transferred more than 50 million yuan to Su Ziming from me and the company under various pretexts. Each time, she had a perfect reason: investment, cash flow, business partnership, or even that his family member was sick and urgently needed money. I gave it to them every single time. It's not because I'm stupid. It's because I want to see when she'll finally tone it down a bit. Or rather, when will I finally give up completely? It seems that what's needed to give up isn't time, but a sufficiently impactful number. For example, 10 million. My phone vibrated again. This time it was a WeChat video call request. I glanced at the screen. It was my mom. I took a deep breath, composed myself, and then pressed the answer button. Binbin, have you eaten yet? My mother's face appeared on the screen, with the living room of our old house in the background. She is 65 years old this year, and most of her hair is white, but she is still in good spirits. I've eaten. Mom. I tried to make my voice sound normal. And you? I already ate. And watched TV with your dad for a while. He's taking a shower now. My mom leaned closer to the screen and looked at me carefully. You don't look too good. Did you stay up late again? No. I'm just a little tired these past couple of days. Don't work too hard. You can't earn enough money. Your health is the most important thing. My mom nagged. By the way, where's Mengshu? Is she home? Yes. She's on the balcony making a phone call. Oh, okay. My mom paused, then lowered her voice and asked, Binbin, I have a question for you. Tell me the truth. Did you and Mengshu have a fight? I was taken aback for a moment. Why do you ask that? Last weekend, your dad and I went to the mall and saw Mengshu in a coffee shop with a man. My mom's voice lowered even more. They were sitting quite close together, chatting and laughing. The man looked quite young and energetic. Who is he? A friend of yours? My heart felt like it had been squeezed tightly, but my voice remained steady. Oh, that's Su Ziming, Mengshu's friend and business partner. They're probably discussing something. We're talking about something, my mom said, still a little skeptical. It's good that you two are all right. I just feel like Mengshu has been a bit distant with you lately. Last time you came back for dinner, she was on her phone the whole time and barely said a word to you. Binbin, couples need to communicate more. Don't keep things bottled up. Okay, I know. Mom, don't worry about it. How can I not worry? My mom sighed. You're 38, and Mengshu is 33. It's time to have a child. Your dad doesn't say it, but he's really anxious. Look at your classmates. Their kids are already in elementary school. Here we go again. Every time we talked, this topic inevitably came up. I listened patiently to the end, then made an excuse to hang up the video. The moment the screen went dark, the smile on my face vanished. The main light in the study wasn't on. Only a desk lamp was lit. The dim light illuminated the desktop in front of me, but the surrounding area remained dark. I sat there, motionless for a long time, until there was a knock on the study door. Zhou Wenbin, are you going to sleep or not? Yi Mingshu's voice came from outside the door, sounding a little impatient. What time is it? I have to get up early to go to the beauty salon tomorrow. I glanced at the time in the bottom right corner of the computer screen. It was 11:20. You go to sleep first. I still have a document to process. There was silence outside the door for a few seconds. Then the sound of heavy footsteps leaving, as if expressing dissatisfaction. I listened to the footsteps disappear in the direction of the master bedroom before I loosened my clenched fist. Several deep, white marks were already left on my palm from being pinched by my fingernails. The next day was Saturday, but my biological clock still woke me up at 6:30. The seat next to me was empty, and the blankets were neatly folded. Yi Mingshu was a clean freak. She would always make her bed impeccably after getting up. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling for a while, then got up to wash up. The man in the mirror looked somewhat haggard, with noticeable dark circles under his eyes. I splashed a handful of cold water on my face. The icy water made me feel a little more awake. When Yi Mingshu came out of the bedroom, she was already sitting in the dining room having breakfast. She was wearing sportswear today, and her hair was tied in a high ponytail, making her look very refreshed. Awake? She didn't even look up, continuing to look at the tablet in her hand. I have a Pilates appointment at 9, and I'm having lunch with Zimming to discuss some things. You can take care of dinner yourself. Don't wait for me. I pulled out a chair and sat down, and Sister Zhang brought me a bowl of porridge. It's getting colder today. It's only 3 degrees outside. I said, you should wear more layers. Okay, Yi Mingshu replied perfunctorily, then pushed the tablet in front of me. By the way, take a look at this. It's a new business plan from Zimming Company, and I think it's quite promising. See if you can allocate some more funds from the company account to support them. I glanced at the screen. The PowerPoint presentation was very attractive, with various data charts and graphs, making it look very professional. However, upon closer inspection, it was full of abstract concepts, such as Internet plus big health ecosystem closed loop and blockchain empowering real industries. It sounded impressive, but there wasn't a single word about practical implementation solutions. I scooped up a spoonful of porridge, slowly drank it down, and then said, the company's budget for this year has been used up, and we'll have to wait until next year for any funding. Then it will come from your share of the profits. Yi Mingshu said matter-of-factly, don't you have a year-end bonus? I remember it's 2 or 3 million, right? Take it out to tide you over for now. I put down the spoon, and the ceramic spoon hit the rim of the bowl with a crisp sound. Yi Mingshu. I called her by her full name. She looked up and finally looked me in the eye. What's wrong? Su Zimming's company has been around for 3 years and hasn't produced a single decent project. I tried to keep my tone calm. Have you gotten back a single penny of the money you invested? Yi Mingshu's face darkened. Zhou Wenbin. What do you mean? What I mean is, I looked at her. Investing isn't charity. You have to look at the returns. His company clearly has problems. What's the problem? Yi Mingshu slammed the tablet on the table, her voice rising 8 octaves. Zimming is a Ritter from overseas, specializing in finance. It's normal that you don't understand the projects he's working on, but you can't dismiss his abilities just because you don't understand them. I'm not denying his ability. I'm questioning his motives. Motive? Huh. Zhou Wenbin. That's a nice way to put it. Yi Mingshu sneered. Do you think you're the most capable person in the world, and everyone else is a fraud? Let me tell you, Zimming is much more far-sighted than you. The projects he's working on now are all future hotspots. If you don't invest now, it'll be too late later. Looking at her face, flushed with excitement, I suddenly felt very tired. This kind of conversation has happened countless times over the past 3 years. Each time it ends with my silence. It's not that I can't argue with her. It's that I don't want to argue. I feel that between husband and wife, some things don't need to be argued about who's right or wrong. Taking a step back can make the relationship work. But now it seems that my step back was not a step towards a brighter future, but rather a step towards a precipice. Okay, I said, you're right. Yi Mingshu probably didn't expect me to admit defeat so readily. She paused for a moment. Then her expression softened. That's true. Besides, Binbin, we're family. Zimming is my friend, which means he's your friend too. Isn't it only right to lend a hand when a friend is in trouble? I didn't reply and continued drinking my porridge. The porridge had cooled down, and it felt sticky in my mouth, like swallowing a wad of wet cotton. Yi Mingshu thought I was convinced, and her tone softened. Here's what we'll do. You can take out your year-end bonus first, and I'll pay you back as soon as Zimming's project pays off. I promise. And sure, when she said those two words, I don't even believe the punctuation marks anymore. I've already planned for my year-end bonus. I said, I promised to buy my parents a new house, and I've already paid the deposit. That's the truth. The old house my parents live in is a unit-built apartment that's over 30 years old. It doesn't have an elevator, and it's cold in winter and hot in summer. Last month, I found a new apartment complex in the suburbs that I liked. The environment is nice, and the layout is suitable. I paid a deposit of 500.000 yuan and plan to sign the contract around New Year's Day. Yi Mingshu's expression changed again. You bought your parents a new house? When did that happen? How come I didn't know? It was decided last month. And I told you. I looked at her calmly. You were on the phone with Su Zimming that day. And when I told you, you just said, She opened her mouth as if to say something, but didn't. The atmosphere in the living room was a bit tense. Finally, she picked up the tablet, stood up, and said, Whatever. It's your money anyway. Spend it however you want. After saying that, she turned around and went back to her bedroom, slamming the door shut. I sat in the restaurant and slowly finished the bowl of porridge that had gone cold. Sister Zhang peeked out from the kitchen, glanced at me hesitantly, but ultimately said nothing and retreated back inside. Everyone in this family lives very cautiously, including me. In the afternoon, Yi Mingshu went out. I was home alone and went through all the encrypted files in the study again. Data doesn't lie. It was all crystal clear, transaction by transaction. I wrote down every single money Yi Mingshu transferred to Su Zimming, including the date, amount, and method of transfer. That's not all. There were also changes in Yi Mingshu's assets. When we got married, she only owned a small apartment she bought before the marriage, worth about 3 million. Now, she owns 2 luxury homes, 3 shops, 5 or 6 investment accounts, plus various jewelry and luxury goods, with a total value exceeding 100 million. Most of these were bought with my money. Or rather, it was bought with company money. I leaned back in my chair and rubbed my throbbing temples. My phone rang. It was my college classmate, Zhao Kai, calling. Old Zhou, where are you? Zhao Kai's voice was loud, with a noisy background, as if he were in some lively place. At home. What's wrong? What are you doing at home? Let's go out for drinks. We're all here. We're just missing you. I glanced at the time. It was 3 p.m. Why drink alcohol in broad daylight? TSK, you have absolutely no sense of humor. Zhao Kai clicked his tongue. How about we play some ball? It's been a while since we played. How about a couple of games? I thought about it and decided it was a good thing. It's better than staying home and overthinking. Okay, send me the address. Half an hour later, I arrived at the stadium in the city center. Zhao Kai and the others were already there, along with 2 other college classmates, Wang Shuo and Li Ming. The 4 of us were on the same basketball team in college, and we often played together after graduation. Hey, Mr. Zhou's here. Wang Shuo, with his sharp eyes, spotted me first and tossed me a bottle of water. You don't look too good. Did your husband exploit you again? I took the water, unscrewed the cap, took a sip, and said, Get lost. I'm serious. Wang Shuo leaned closer and lowered his voice. I wanted to say this last time we ate together. Are you and Yi Mingshu having problems? She didn't give you a kind look the whole time that day. I didn't reply, but took off my coat and threw it on the bench next to me. Li Ming also came over and patted my shoulder. Binzi, I'm not trying to criticize you, but you spoil Yi Mingshu too much. You can't spoil a woman. The more you spoil her, the more of a jerk she becomes. All right, let's play ball. Zhao Kai stepped in to smooth things over. It's their business. Let's not meddle. 4 of us went onto the court, and after playing half a game, we were all panting heavily. We're getting old, and our stamina isn't what it used to be. We were drenched in sweat after just half an hour. We sat down to rest on the sidelines, and Zhao Kai offered me a cigarette, but I waved it off. I've quit. Are you really quit? Yes. Yi Mingshu doesn't like the smell of smoke. All right, it's your wife again. Zhao Kai lit a cigarette, took a puff, and exhaled a smoke ring. Old Zhou, we've known each other for almost 20 years. There are some things I don't know whether I should say or not. Then don't say it. I said, No, I can't stand it. Zhao Kai held a cigarette between his fingers, looked at me, and said, I saw Yi Mingshu at the Nanshan Club last month. My heart skipped a beat. Nanshan Club is the most upscale private club in the city. Membership only. And ordinary people cannot get in. With whom? My voice remained relatively steady. With a guy? Quite young, decent looking, and dressed smartly. Zhao Kai paused. The two of them came out of the club, and the guy naturally put his arm around Yi Mingshu's waist. And Yi Mingshu didn't dodge. I didn't say anything. My fingers unconsciously tightened, making a cracking sound as I squeezed the mineral water bottle. I saw it too. Wang Shuo, who had been silent until now, suddenly spoke up. Last weekend, at the IFC mall, Yi Mingshu was shopping with that man. At the Cartier counter, the man spent over 200,000 yuan to buy Yi Mingshu a necklace. Li Ming swore. Binzi, you can't tolerate this. Zhao Kai stubbed out his cigarette. Once or twice might be a misunderstanding. But after so many times, even a blind person could see something's wrong. Who's that man? Do you know him? I remained silent for a long time before finally saying, Su Ziming. Su Ziming? Zhao Kai frowned. That name sounds familiar. Isn't he the one who does investments? I think he was on the local financial news a couple of years ago, being called some kind of representative of young entrepreneurs. Him? Wang Shuo sneered. What a load of rubbish about being a youth entrepreneur representative. I've heard about it. His company is just an empty shell. A scam to swindle money from rich women. Binzi, you'd better be careful and don't let this pretty boy fool you. I finally crushed the mineral water bottle, spilling water all over my hand. I looked down at my wet hands and suddenly smiled. Don't worry, I said. You can't fool me. At least, I won't be able to fool anyone anymore. After the game, Zhao Kai and the others suggested going out for dinner, but I declined. I was covered in sweat, feeling sticky and uncomfortable, and I didn't have much of an appetite. On my drive home, I received a call from the company's CFO. Mr. Zhou, there's something I need to report to you. The CFO's voice sounded a little nervous. Mr. Yi came to the company this afternoon and took away the reserve fund for the West District project, 1.5 million yuan, saying it's for urgent use. I was going to call you, but Mr. Yi said you already know. I don't know. I interrupted him. What would she do with the money? They said that President Su has a project that urgently needs advance funding, and he can repay it in 3 days. 3 days? I sneered inwardly. He hadn't paid it back in 3 years. I understand. I said, next time she goes to the finance department to get money, no matter how much, I have to sign for it. Okay, Mr. Zhou. After hanging up the phone, I pulled my car over to the side of the road and lit a cigarette. This was my first cigarette in 2 years since I quit. The smoke was harsh. It made me cough as I inhaled it. But I didn't put it out. I just puffed it all out. The taste of nicotine spreads in the mouth. A little bitter and a little astringent. Just like my life right now. After finishing my cigarette, I started the car again. I stopped briefly as I passed a flower shop. Whenever Yi Mingshu was angry, I would buy her a bouquet of flowers to appease her. She liked white roses, finding them pure and noble. There was a large bucket of white roses displayed in front of the flower shop today. They were in full bloom. I glanced at it, then stepped on the gas and drove away. Some habits need to be changed. It was already dark when I got home. The house was dark, with no lights on. I turned on the light, and the living room was empty. Yi Mingshu hadn't returned yet. I glanced at my phone. It was 7:30 p.m. There were no missed calls or WeChat messages. Sister Zhang came out of the kitchen, saw me, and paused for a moment. Mr. Zhou is back? Have you eaten? Not yet. Shall I make you something? There are still some vegetables in the refrigerator. No need for trouble. Just cook a bowl of noodles. Okay, sure. Sister Zhang went to the kitchen to busy herself, and I sat down on the sofa and turned on the TV. The news was broadcasting a local financial report, which happened to be an interview with Su Ziming. On camera, he was wearing a well-tailored suit. His hair was neatly combed, and he was talking eloquently to the reporter about empowering the real economy and creating a closed-loop industrial ecosystem. Those words were exactly the same as those in the business plan that Yi Mingshu showed me. I watched for a few minutes, then changed the channel. The noodles were cooked, and Sister Zhang brought them out and placed them on the table. It was a very simple clear broth noodle dish, with a poached egg and some chopped green onions. I sat down, picked up my chopsticks, and ate it bite by bite. The noodles were a bit salty. It's probably because Sister Zhang's hand was shaking and she put in too much salt. But I still finished it all. even drinking all the soup. After finishing my noodles, I took the bowl to the kitchen. Sister Zhang was washing the dishes. And when she saw me come in, she quickly said, "I'll do it. It's nothing. Just a quick task." I put the bowl in the sink, then leaned against the kitchen doorframe, watching Sister Zhang's back. "Sister Zhang, you've been working for us for 5 years, haven't you?" Sister Zhang paused for a moment. "Next month will mark exactly 5 years. Time flies," I said. "I remember when you first came. My daughter was just starting kindergarten." "Yes, Chi-Chi is in 3rd grade now." Sister Zhang smiled, but the smile seemed a little forced. Chi-Chi is Zhang Jie's daughter, 9 years old this year, and lives with her grandparents in her hometown. Zhang Jie sends most of her salary back home every month, keeping only a small amount for herself for living expenses. "Sister Zhang," I suddenly asked, "what do you think of my feelings for Yi Mengshu?" The bowl in Sister Zhang's hand almost fell into the sink. She turned her head and looked at me in a panic. "Mr. Zhou, you. It's nothing. Just chatting." I smiled. "You're the only one in this family who can tell me the truth." Sister Zhang fell silent, head down, and continued washing the dishes. The water from the tap flowed freely as she washed slowly and carefully. "Mr. Zhou," she said softly after a long pause, "you are so good to your wife. Really, I've never seen a man treat his wife so well." "But," she stopped. "But what?" "But," Sister Zhang said, as if she had made a great decision, "your wife doesn't seem to care much about you. Last time you had a fever of 39 degrees Celsius. I called you, and your wife answered, saying she was busy and asked me to find you some medicine. Actually, she went to a concert with Mr. Su that day. I saw the photos on her WeChat moments. I didn't say anything. Also, your wife never picks you up from the airport when you come back from business trips. But every time Mr. Su comes, your wife starts getting ready an hour early and even specifically tells me to cook Mr. Su's favorite dishes." Sister Zhang's voice trailed off. "Mr. Zhou, I know I shouldn't say these things, but looking at you makes my heart ache. You're a good person. Really, I understand." I interrupted her. "Thank you, Sister Zhang." Sister Zhang turned around, her eyes a little red. "Mr. Zhou, you." "I'm fine." I smiled. "Go ahead and do your work. I'll wash the dishes myself." I pushed Sister Zhang out of the kitchen, closed the door, and then went to the sink to start washing the dishes. The water was so hot that my fingertips turned red. I washed them very slowly, washing each bowl 3 times until they were sparkling clean enough to reflect my blurry face. The man in the mirror had a calm gaze, a calmness that was somewhat frightening. Yi Mengshu returned at 11 p.m. I was still in the study when I heard the door open, followed by the sound of high heels on the floor, approaching from a distance and stopping at the study doorway. The door was pushed open without knocking. She stood at the door, smelling of alcohol, her face slightly flushed, but her eyes were clear. "Aren't you asleep yet?" she asked. "Yeah, I have something to take care of." I didn't look up and continued looking at the computer screen. She walked in, stood opposite the desk, rested her hands on the edge of the desk, and leaned down to look at me. "Zhou Wenbin, let's talk." I closed my laptop and looked up. "What are you talking about?" "Regarding Ziming." Yi Mengshu straightened up, arms crossed. "I know you have a problem with him, but can you be a little more mature? He's my friend and my business partner. Your attitude towards him is putting me in a difficult position." "What is my attitude towards him?" "You're asking a question you already know the answer to." Yi Mengshu frowned. "Yesterday, when I mentioned the transfer, what was your reaction? And today, when I asked the finance department to get the money, you still wanted my signature?" "Zhou Wenbin, what do you mean by this? Are you guarding against me?" "That's company money." I said. "It's not mine. And it's not yours. It belongs to the company. Every expenditure should have a reasonable purpose and procedure. Ziming's project is a perfectly legitimate use. Whether it's reasonable or not isn't up to you or me to decide." I said, looking at her. "The company has its own rules and regulations, and financial audits. If you think it's reasonable, then follow the proper procedures, submit the project proposal, undergo financial evaluation, and get board approval. As long as the procedures are compliant, I won't stop you." Yi Mengshu's face darkened completely. "Zhou Wenbin, why do you have to talk to me like that? I'm trying to reason with you." "Reason? Huh. Fine. Let's talk reason." Yi Mengshu sneered. "Then let me ask you. The company was established with my father's money. You are the CEO. That's true. But the chairman is my father. My father said he's optimistic about Zimming's project and he supports it. Doesn't that count as compliant with regulations? I stared at her without saying a word. And another thing, Yi Mingshu stepped forward, placing her hands on the table and closing in on me. Zhou Wenbin, don't forget, if it weren't for my dad, you'd still be writing code in that shabby rented room. Who did you rely on to get where you are today? These words were like a knife, piercing precisely into my most painful spot. Yes, I admit it. 7 years ago, I was a penniless programmer. I took the subway for 2 hours every day to get to work and lived in a 10 square meter rented room. My biggest dream was to buy an apartment in this city. Yi Mingshu is the daughter of the company boss, a rich heiress. She is beautiful, highly educated, and has suitors who could line up from the company gate to the Huangpu River. She just happened to fall for me. At the time, everyone said that I, Zhou Wenbin, had struck gold and climbed the social ladder. Even I think so. So for the past 7 years, I've worked like crazy, growing the company from a startup of 3 million to an annual revenue of over 100 million. I spoil Yi Mingshu rotten. I give her whatever she wants and listen to everything she says. I thought that this would prove that I was good enough for her. I thought that this would allow her, and everyone else, to see that I, Zhou Wenbin, am where I am today because of my own abilities. But now it seems that in Yi Mingshu's eyes, I will always be that poor boy who got ahead because of her father. Are you done talking? I asked. Yi Mingshu was probably surprised by my calmness and paused for a moment. You can leave now. I need to work. I turned my computer back on. Also, remember to knock before entering the study next time. She stood there, motionless. I could feel her gaze fixed on my face, as if she could see right through me. But I didn't look up. My eyes remained on the computer screen, my fingers tapping on the keyboard, even though I couldn't concentrate on a single word. After about a minute, or maybe longer, Yi Mingshu turned and left. The sound of high heels was heavy, each step feeling like it was pounding on my heart. The study door was slammed shut. With a loud bang, the painting hanging on the wall shook. I stopped typing and looked at the time in the bottom right corner of the screen. 11:47. A new day is almost here. That night, I didn't go back to my bedroom to sleep. I spent the night on the sofa in the study. The sofa was a bit short. I'm tall, so I couldn't stretch my legs out, and my back ached after sleeping on it. I woke up at 6 in the morning, before dawn, and sat on the sofa for a while, then got up and took a shower. Cold water was poured over my head, making me shiver. But my mind is clear now. After showering and changing my clothes, I drove out. I didn't go to the company, but instead went to an old residential area in the west of the city. This community was built in the 1990s. There is no elevator, and the paint on the walls is peeling off. But the landscaping is very good, and the courtyard is full of camphor trees. I parked my car downstairs, went up to the 3rd floor, and knocked on the door of room 301. The door opened quickly, and an elderly woman with gray hair peeked out. Seeing me, she paused, surprised, and asked, Binbin, what brings you here? Mom, I called out. I've come to see you and Dad. Come in, come in. It's cold outside. My mom quickly pulled me inside, getting me slippers as she called out to the inner room. Old man, Binbin's here. My dad came out of the bedroom, wearing reading glasses and holding a newspaper. So early? Have you eaten yet? Not yet. That's perfect. Let's eat together. Your mom made millet porridge and steamed buns. I sat down at the dining table, looking at this familiar yet somewhat strange home. The house wasn't big, just over 70 square meters, and the furniture was all old-fashioned. But it was very clean. There were several potted plants on the balcony, growing just right. My mom served me a bowl of porridge and then added 2 steamed buns. Eat them while they're hot. They're pork and cabbage filling. Your favorite when you were little? I took a bite. The bun had a thin skin and a generous filling, and it was incredibly fragrant. Eat slowly. Don't choke. My mom sat down opposite me, looked at me, and hesitated before saying anything. Mom, just say what you have to say. It's nothing. My mom rubbed her hands together. It's just that Mengshu called me last night. My heart sank. What did she say? They didn't say much. Just asked how I was feeling, and said they'd take us to Sanya for New Year's Day. My mom looked at me. Binbin, tell me the truth. Did you two have a fight? I put down my chopsticks, took a tissue to wipe my mouth, and said, I guess so. Why? It's about money. My mom sighed. I knew it. Binbin, it's not that I'm criticizing you, but you're a grown man. Don't be so stingy. Meng Shu is from a rich family. She's used to spending money lavishly since she was little. Don't hold it against her. Besides, her father has been kind to our family. If it weren't for him, you wouldn't be where you are today. Mom, I interrupted her. Uncle Yi provided the initial capital for the company back then. But in these 7 years, the company has grown so big because I worked 16 hours a day. Because I risked my life. Uncle Yi helped me. But I didn't take his money for nothing. In these 7 years, the dividends I've given him have long exceeded the amount he initially invested. My mom was stunned. Binbin. You. Mom. There are some things I don't want to say because I feel it's unnecessary. I looked at my mother and said, word by word, but you need to know that your son doesn't owe the Yi family anything. My dad put down his newspaper and took off his reading glasses. Binbin. What happened? I paused for a few seconds, then briefly explained the matter of the 10 million yuan dividend. 10 million. My mother gasped. It all went to that Su Ziming. This can't be allowed. My mother exclaimed anxiously. That's your money. How could she transfer it all to someone else without saying a word? Who is this Su Ziming? Is he reliable? Unreliable. I said. He's a fraud. Then you need to explain things clearly to Meng Shu. I told her, but she didn't believe me. I smirked. In her eyes, I'm an ungrateful wretch. And Su Ziming is the benefactor who can make her rich. The living room fell silent. Only the ticking of the old-fashioned wall clock, one stroke at a time, resonates in one's heart. After a long silence, my dad finally spoke. Binbin, what are you planning to do? I looked up at my dad. My dad is 68 this year. His hair is completely white, and his back is a little hunched. But his eyes are still very bright. He's an old teacher who has taught all his life. He has a gentle personality and never argues with anyone. But at this moment, his eyes are sharp, as if they can see through everything. Dad, I said, I want a divorce. When I said those words, I was stunned for a moment. It turns out that this thought had been buried in my heart for a long time. I just never dared to admit it, never dared to face it. It feels easier to say it now. My mom gasped, covered her mouth, and tears welled up in her eyes. Divorce? Binbin, don't be impulsive. Let's talk this out. Divorce is no small matter. I wasn't acting impulsively. I said, Mom, I've thought about this for a long time. I haven't been happy at all in these past 7 years. Yi Meng Shu has never treated me like a husband. She treats me like an employee, an ATM, and the face of the Yi family. I've had enough. But what about the company? What about the house? Aren't they all part of the Yi family? My mother panicked. Binbin, you've worked so hard for so many years. You can't just give up everything. What's rightfully mine? I'll take back. I looked at my parents. My voice calm. What's not rightfully mine? I won't take a single penny of. My dad put his reading glasses back on and picked up the newspaper. But I knew he wasn't actually reading it. Have you thought it through? He asked. I've thought it through. Then go for it. My dad said. Dad supports you. My mom was still crying, but she didn't say anything more. I got up, walked to her side, and hugged her. Mom, I'm sorry for making you worry. Silly child. My mother patted my back. Her voice choked with emotion. As long as you're happy, nothing else matters. When I left my parents' house, it was already broad daylight. The winter sun is weak and not very warm, but it still feels warm when it shines on you. I drove to the company. The company was quiet on the weekend, with only a few employees working overtime. I went into the office, closed the door, and took a document from the safe. That was a draft of a divorce agreement. I drafted it. The terms above are clear and fair. Marital property is divided equally. Company shares are split according to investment ratio, and houses and cars belong to whoever owns them. But I know Yi Meng Shu won't agree. All she wanted was everything. I sat down at my desk, turned on my computer, and began revising the agreement. This time, I didn't hold back. I meticulously listed every source of Yi Meng Shu's assets, every single penny she transferred to Su Ziming, and every sum of money she had embezzled from the company over the years. Also, her relationship with Su Ziming. I opened another folder, which contained all the evidence I had collected over the past 3 years, chat screenshots, transfer receipts, photos of them going in and out of various places together, and even a recording of Yi Meng Shu and Su Ziming talking in a car, clearly explaining how they colluded to embezzle company funds step by step. This evidence is enough to make Yi Meng Shu leave with nothing. That's enough to send Su Ziming to jail for a few years. But I didn't intend to go that far. I closed the folder, leaned back in my chair, and closed my eyes. After 7 years of marriage, this is how it ends. That's fucking ridiculous. My phone vibrated. It was a WeChat message from Yi Mengshu. Ziming's birthday party tonight. Don't be late. The gift is on the cabinet in the entryway. Remember to bring it. I stared at that message for a long time, then replied with a single word. I put down my phone, walked to the window, and looked at the bustling traffic below. The city is large and bustling, but also very cold. It's so cold it's chilling to the bone. At 7 p.m. sharp, I arrived at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The private room was booked by Yi Mengshu. It was the largest one, seating 20 people. When I arrived, it was already full, filled with Yi Mengshu's friends. I recognized a few of them, but most were unfamiliar faces. Yi Mengshu sat next to Su Ziming in the main seat. The two were talking very close to each other, and Yi Mengshu was laughing so hard she was shaking. Seeing me come in, Yi Mengshu's smile faded slightly, and she waved to me. "Why are you so late? We've been waiting for you." "There was a traffic jam on the way," I said, placing the gift on the table. The gift was wrapped in beautiful wrapping paper in a square box, so I couldn't tell what it contained. Yi Mengshu prepared it, and I didn't ask. "President Zhou is here." Su Ziming stood up, extended his hand to me, and smiled broadly. "Thank you for coming, President Zhou." I didn't take his hand. I just nodded and sat down opposite Yi Mengshu. Su Ziming's hand froze in midair, his smile faltering. Yi Mengshu glared at me, then smiled and tried to smooth things over. "Ziming, don't mind him. That's just how he is. He doesn't know any manners. It's nothing. Mr. Zhou is very busy. I'm honored that you could come." Su Ziming withdrew his hand, sat down naturally, and poured Yi Mengshu a glass of juice. "Sister Mengshu, drink this. It's good for your beauty and health." Yi Mengshu took it, her eyes crinkling with laughter. The others in the private room also chimed in, praising Su Ziming for his youth and talent, and commending Yi Mengshu for her foresight in choosing such an excellent business partner. The atmosphere quickly became lively again, as if the slight awkwardness from before had never happened. I sat there, like an outsider. The dishes were served one after another, all of them the hotel's most expensive signature dishes. Several bottles of wine were opened, including red wine, white wine, and spirits. Yi Mengshu had drunk a bit too much. Her cheeks were flushed, and her voice was louder. "Let me tell you, Ziming's project is absolutely going to succeed." She raised her wine glass, her voice booming. "When the time comes, everyone here will be an original shareholder, and we'll all get rich together. Then congratulations in advance to President Yi and President Su. Mr. Yi, don't forget about us then. Cheers." "Cheers." The cups clinked together, making a crisp sound. I picked up the teacup and took a sip. The tea was cold and a little bitter. "Why isn't Mr. Zhou drinking?" a woman sitting next to me suddenly asked. I glanced at her. She looked familiar. She seemed to be Yi Mengshu's best friend, surnamed Lu, but I forgot her given name. "Drive," I said. "Let's call a designated driver," Ms. Lu said with a smile. "It's Mr. Su's birthday today. On such a joyous occasion, it wouldn't be right not to have a drink. Isn't that right, Mengshu?" Yi Mengshu looked over, her eyes a little unfocused. Bin, have a drink. Don't spoil the fun." Su Ziming also looked over, a smile playing on his lips, his eyes carrying a hint of provocation. I put down my teacup and picked up my wine glass. "Okay," I said. "I'll toast President Su." I poured myself a full glass of baijiu, raised it, and said, "Happy birthday, Mr. Su, and I wish your project." I paused. "Success soon." Su Ziming smiled and raised his glass as well. "Thank you, President Zhou. I appreciate your kind words." We clinked glasses, and I downed mine in one gulp. The liquor was strong, burning from my throat all the way to my stomach. Without batting an eye, I put down my glass, picked up my chopsticks again, and took a piece of green vegetable. Yi Mengshu seemed quite satisfied with my cooperation, and the smile on her face returned. "That's more like it," she said. "We're all family. Don't be so formal." A family. I repeated those 3 words in my mind, feeling a bit ironic. After a few rounds of drinks, the atmosphere became increasingly lively. Someone suggested playing Truth or Dare, and everyone cheered. Yi Mengshu and Su Ziming also participated, but Yi Mengshu was unlucky and lost in the first round. "I choose Truth," she said. The question came from Ms. Lu, who asked with a smile, "Mengshu, Among all the men here, if you had to choose one as your boyfriend, who would you choose? Not your husband. Okay, this was a tricky question, and the private room fell silent as everyone looked at Yi Mengshu. Yi Mengshu paused for a moment, then smiled, her gaze sweeping over everyone's faces before finally settling on Su Ziming. Of course it's Ziming, she said matter-of-factly. Ziming is young, talented, and considerate. Who wouldn't like a man like that? Oh, the crowd cheered. Su Ziming shook his head with a smile. Sister Mengshu, don't joke with me. I'm serious. Yi Mengshu looked at him, her eyes filled with undisguised admiration. Ziming, someone like you is every woman's ideal type. And what about me? I suddenly asked. The private room suddenly became eerily quiet. Everyone looked at me. Yi Mengshu's smile froze, and Su Ziming also stopped smiling, looking a little embarrassed. Binbin, you've had too much to drink. Yi Mengshu frowned. I wasn't drunk. I looked at her and asked, word by word, what am I to you? You. What am I? I repeated. An ATM? A backup plan? Or just a dog kept by the Yi family? Zhou Wenbin. Yi Mengshu stood up abruptly, her face ashen. What's wrong with you? Am I crazy? I laughed and stood up. Yi Mengshu, we've been married for 7 years. I bought you cars, houses, jewelry, whatever you wanted. You've been handing over millions to this swindler, and I've never said a word against it. Now, in front of so many people, you're saying he's your ideal type. And what about me? What am I to you? Shut up. Yi Mengshu trembled with anger. Zhou Wenbin, have I been too kind to you? Don't forget, without my father, you are nothing. That same phrase again. I nodded, took my phone out of my pocket, and opened a recording. Yi Mengshu's voice came through the phone, eerily clear. Ziming, don't worry. I've already taken care of Zhou Wenbin. He's a complete idiot. He believes everything I say. Once I transfer the last bit of money from the company, we'll run away to a foreign country and live our lives. The recording was still playing, but no one in the private room dared to make a sound. Everyone, including Yi Mengshu and Su Ziming, stood frozen in place, as if they had been frozen in time. Yi Mengshu's face turned from ashen to deathly pale. Her lips trembled, and she couldn't utter a word for a long time. Su Ziming was the first to react, suddenly standing up and trying to snatch my phone. Zhou Wenbin, you fucking tricked me. I kicked the chair, and it slid over, hitting his leg. He screamed and fell to the ground. You've been tricked? I looked down at him. Su Ziming, don't you know how much money you've swindled from Yi Mengshu over the past 3 years? Do I need to calculate it for you one by one? What nonsense are you talking about? That money is an investment. Investment? I laughed. Okay, then tell me, what projects did you invest in? How much money did you make? What about the repayment records? What about the financial statements? Su Ziming couldn't speak. He just glared at me fiercely. I put away my phone and looked at Yi Mengshu. I'll send the divorce agreement to your email tomorrow. Whether you sign it or not is up to you. After saying that, I turned and left. Zhou Wenbin, Yi Mengshu screamed from behind. You dare. If you dare to divorce me, I won't give you a single penny. I stopped and turned around to look at her. Under the lights, her face was contorted with anger and terror. Her makeup was ruined, and she looked somewhat ferocious. Yi Mengshu, I said slowly, I've given you many chances in these 7 years. But every time, you chose someone else. This time, I choose myself. I opened the door and went out. Behind him came Yi Mengshu's hysterical crying and cursing, Su Ziming's curses, and the whispers of the other people in the private room. But none of this matters to me anymore. I stepped out of the hotel. The winter night wind was cold, and it felt like knives on my face. But I felt an unprecedented sense of ease. The next day, I sent the divorce agreement to Yi Mengshu's email address, along with the document. She also sent a file containing all the money transfer records between her and Su Ziming over the past 3 years, as well as some photos and recordings. After sending the email, I turned off my phone and drove to a cemetery in the suburbs. Today is the anniversary of my mother's death. No, to be precise, it's the anniversary of my adoptive mother's death. My biological parents died in a car accident when I was 3 years old, and my current parents adopted me. They treated me very well, like their own child, and supported my education, sending me to university. My adoptive mother passed away from illness when I was a sophomore in college, and my adoptive father raised me alone. I have never told Yi Mengshu about these things, because I don't think it's necessary. But now that I think about it, Maybe it was precisely because I never said anything that she felt I was helpless and could be manipulated at will. I placed a bunch of white chrysanthemums in front of the tombstone, knelt down, and kowtowed 3 times. "Mom," I said, "I want a divorce." The woman in the photo smiles gently, her eyes filled with love, as if to say, "Son, you did the right thing." I sat in front of the tombstone for a long time, until it got dark, before I got up and left. I turned on my phone when I came down the mountain. Dozens of missed calls, all from Yi Mengshu. There were also dozens of WeChat messages, ranging from initial questioning to later cursing, and finally to pleading. "Binbin, I was wrong. Please give me another chance. I was just making things up. I just wanted to annoy you. So don't take it seriously. Zimming is just an ordinary friend. There's nothing between us. Let's go home and talk this out. Okay, I'm begging you." After reading them, I didn't reply to a single one and immediately blocked her number. Then, I called my lawyer. "Attorney Wong," I said, "I've sent you the agreement. Please handle it for me. Also, please investigate the source of all of Yi Mengshu's assets, as well as the company of her lover, Su Zimming. I need all the evidence of his tax evasion and illegal fundraising." "Understood, Mr. Zhou." Attorney Wong's voice was calm and steady. "Give me 3 days." "Good." After hanging up the phone, I parked my car on the side of the road and lit a cigarette. It was completely dark when the streetlights came on one by one, winding into a ribbon of light. In the distance, the city's neon lights flickered, bustling yet indifferent. I finished my last puff of cigarette, stubbed it out, and then took out another phone. I bought this phone 3 years ago and have only used it once. I found the only number in my contacts and dialed it. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. "Hello?" A woman's voice came from the other end, soft and with a hint of uncertainty. "Qin Shui," I said. "Is me, Zhou Wenbin." There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the phone. "Zhou Wenbin." Qin Shui's voice was filled with surprise. "Is it really you? I thought you would never contact me again. Do you have time?" I asked. "I'd like to see you." "Now." "Yes, now." Qin Shui was silent for a moment, then said, "Okay, where are you? I'll come find you." "No need. I'll come pick you up." I gave her the address of her studio. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. After hanging up the phone, I started the car and merged into the traffic. Qin Shui. I haven't mentioned this name in 7 years. She was my first love, a classmate in college. We started dating in our sophomore year and dated for 4 years. The year we graduated, I received an offer from the Yi Group, but on the condition that I break up with Qin Shui and marry Yi Mengshu. I was young and arrogant at the time, and I thought I could make a name for myself through my own abilities. So I refused. Then, the Yi family cut off all my escape routes. No company dared to hire me, and I couldn't even rent a place. My father, an honest and hardworking teacher, was fired by the school under some pretext. My mother, whose health was already poor, became even worse due to anxiety and stress, and was hospitalized. As for me, I can't even afford the medical expenses. It was Qin Shui who accompanied me to one hospital after another, helped me humble myself and beg for help, and helped me through the most difficult period of my life. In the end, I was the one who let go first. I said, "Qin Shui, let's break up." She didn't cry or make a scene. She just looked at me with red eyes and asked, "Zhou Wenbin, have you thought this through?" I said, "I've thought it through." She said, "Okay." Then she turned and left, never looking back. Later, as the Yi family wished, I married Yi Mengshu and joined the Yi Group. Qin Shui went to another city and opened a small clothing studio, which I heard is doing quite well. She remains single. In the past 7 years, I have neither seen her nor contacted her, but I've kept her number in this old phone, like a wound that will never heal. Now, this wound should heal. 20 minutes later, I arrived at Qin Shui's studio. It was an old-style office building, a bit out of the way, but very quiet. I parked my car, went upstairs, and found her studio on the 3rd floor. The door was open, and the lights were on inside. I walked in and saw her immediately. Qin Shui was ironing a garment with her back to me. She wore a beige sweater and dark blue jeans, her hair loosely pulled back, revealing her slender neck. The studio wasn't large, but it was very clean, with design drafts hanging on the walls and shelves full of fabrics. She seemed to hear footsteps and turned around. 7 years have passed, and she has changed, yet she seems unchanged. Her features were still the same, as I remembered. Only the immaturity had faded, replaced by a touch of maturity and gentleness. Her eyes were bright, as if they were filled with water. And when she looked at me, there was a hint of surprise, a touch of helplessness, and a few other emotions I couldn't decipher. "You're here?" She put down the iron, her fingers unconsciously clenching the hem of her clothes. I walked over. "Sorry to bother you." "It's nothing. I just finished." She turned to pour some water. "Have a seat. It's a bit messy here." I sat down on the sofa and took the glass of water she handed me. The water was at the perfect temperature, neither too hot nor too cold. Qin Shui sat down in the chair opposite me, holding her cup in both hands, head down, and didn't say anything. The atmosphere was a little awkward. We both started speaking at the same time, then stopped at the same time. "You go first," I said. Qin Shui looked up at me and asked, "What did you want to see me about?" Her voice was soft and gentle, like a feather brushing against my heart. "I'm divorced," I said. Qin Shui was stunned, her eyes widening slightly, but she quickly regained her composure. "When did this happen?" "It was just mentioned today." "Oh." She lowered her head, staring at the shimmering water in the glass. "Why?" "She cheated on me," I said, "and even gave that man 10 million in bonuses from the company." I spoke very calmly, as if I were talking about someone else's business. Qin Shui looked up at me, her eyes filled with complex emotions, like heartache, sadness, and something else. "So, what do you plan to do?" "Divorce," I said. "What's rightfully mine, I'll take back. What's not rightfully mine, I won't take a single penny." Qin Shui was silent for a moment, then said softly, "You look very tired." I was taken aback for a moment. 7 years have passed, and Yi Mengshu has never said that to me. She only ever says things like, "Zhou Wenbin, how can you be so useless? Zhou Wenbin, look at other people. Zhou Wenbin, can't you stop being so pathetic?" But Qin Shui said, "You look very tired." That one sentence almost made me break down on the spot. I took a deep breath, suppressing the stinging in my eyes. "It's all right. I can handle it." "It's okay if you can't handle it," Qin Shui said. "Just rest when you're tired. It's no big deal." I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. 7 years have passed, and she seems unchanged, still so gentle and understanding. But I am battered and bruised, unrecognizable. "Qin Shui," I said, my voice a little hoarse, "I owe you an apology." Qin Shui shook her head. "It's all in the past. I can't get over it," I said. "For the past 7 years, I've regretted it every single day." Qin Shui didn't say anything. She just looked at me, her eyes glistening with tears. "I know it's shameless of me to say this now," I continued. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want to tell you that breaking up with you back then was the worst decision I ever made. I paused. "If I said I wanted to start over, would you give me a chance?" The studio was quiet, with the occasional sound of cars coming from the street below and the hissing sound of the remaining moisture evaporating from the iron. Qin Shui lowered her head and remained silent for a long time. It went on for so long that I thought she would refuse. Then I heard her say, "Zhou Wenbin, it's been 7 years. I know. 7 years can change a lot of things and a lot of people. I've changed too," I said. "But one thing hasn't changed. I still love you." Qin Shui suddenly raised her head, and the tears in her eyes finally fell, sliding down her cheeks. She didn't wipe it. She just looked at me, her voice soft and trembling. "Zhou Wenbin, you bastard. I'm an asshole, I admit. So, are you willing to give an asshole a chance to change for the better?" Qin Shui didn't say anything, but stood up, walked to the window, and turned her back to me. I couldn't see her expression, only her slightly trembling shoulders. "Qin Shui." I stood up and walked behind her, but didn't touch her. "You don't need to answer me now. I'll take care of everything and come back to you cleanly and honestly. If you're willing, we can start over. If you're not, I understand. I'll leave and won't bother you anymore." Qin Shui remained silent. I stood there for a while, then turned around and prepared to leave. "Zhou Wenbin," she suddenly said. I stopped in my tracks. "I'll wait for you," she said. "But this time, don't keep me waiting too long." I turned around and looked at her. She turned around, tears still on her face, but her eyes were bright, as if they held stars. "Okay," I said. "This time, it won't be too long." It was past 10 p.m. when I left Qin Shui's studio. I didn't drive. I walked slowly along the street. The winter night was cold, and the wind stung my face. But I felt a fire burning inside me. That fire burned for 7 years, finally burning through all hesitation, compromise, and self-deception. My phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered the phone. It was Attorney Wang. Mr. Zhou, we found it. Attorney Wang's voice was very serious. The 2 luxury homes and 3 shops under Yi Mingshu's name were all purchased with company funds, but are registered under her personal name. In addition, the total amount of funds she transferred from the company over the past 3 years, totaling 87 million, mostly went to Su Ziming's company, and a small portion went into her personal overseas accounts. Where is Su Ziming? Su Ziming's company is just a shell company. It changed its registered address 4 times in 3 years and has a lot of tax problems. In addition, I found that he has overseas accounts with several large sums of money in them, the source of which is unknown. Furthermore, he is suspected of illegal fundraising, and at least a dozen investors have been defrauded, with the amount involved exceeding 50 million yuan. Is all the evidence ready? That's all there. Enough to file a case. Okay, I said. Let's call the police. Now, Attorney Wang was a little surprised. Right now? After hanging up the phone, I stood on the street and looked at the city's night view. The lights are dazzling, and the prosperity is like a dream. But this time, I am no longer the one who dreams. I want to personally turn this dream into reality. For the next few days, I stayed in a hotel and didn't go home or to the company. My phone has been switched off the whole time, and nobody can reach me. It wasn't until the 4th day that I turned on my phone, and then I was bombarded with dozens of missed calls and hundreds of WeChat messages. Most of them were from Yi Mengshu, but there were also messages from her parents, her friends, and her company's senior management. I didn't read any of them. I just deleted them. Then, I received a call from Yi Mengshu's father, Yi Jiangwo. Zhou Wenbin. Yi Jiangwo's voice was deep, filled with suppressed anger. Come to the company immediately. We need to talk. Good. I took a shower, changed into a suit, and drove to the company. I arrived at the company at 10 a.m. The receptionist paused for a moment when she saw me, then whispered, Mr. Zhou, Chairman Yi is waiting for you in his office. I nodded and got on the elevator. The office was on the top floor. It was large and tastefully decorated. Yi Jiangwo sat behind a huge executive desk, while Yi Mengshu stood beside him, her eyes red and swollen, her face haggard, clearly having cried a lot in the past few days. Su Ziming was also there, sitting on the sofa, his expression also unpleasant. Seeing me come in, Yi Mengshu rushed over first. Zhou Wenbin. What do you mean? Calling the police to arrest Ziming? Do you know what you're doing? I ignored her and walked straight to Yi Jiangwo, pulled out a chair and sat down. Chairman Yi, I said, did you need something? Yi Jiangwo stared at me, his eyes cold. Wenbin, I've never treated you badly. Back then, you had nothing, and I gave you a chance. In these 7 years, I've never wronged you. Isn't what you're doing now going too far? Excessive? I laughed. Chairman Yi, your daughter transferred my 10 million bonus to her lover. Isn't that excessive? She embezzled nearly 90 million from the company in 3 years. Isn't that excessive? She and this Mr. Su joined forces to try to empty the company's coffers and then run away. Isn't that excessive? You're lying. Yi Mengshu screamed. I didn't. That money was an investment. An investment? Investment? I looked at Su Ziming. Mr. Su, would you like me to show everyone your company's financial statements and the list of investors? Su Ziming's face turned deathly pale. His lips trembled, and he was unable to speak. Wenbin, Yi Jiangwo said in a deep voice. We're all family. Can't we talk things out? Why do we have to take this to the police station? Ziming is Mengshu's friend. How is Mengshu supposed to face anyone after what you've done? Mr. Yi, I interrupted him. From the moment your daughter cheated on me, we were no longer a family. Yi Jiangwo's expression changed. I've already sent the divorce agreement. I looked at Yi Mengshu. Sign it, and you'll get what you're entitled to. We can part amicably. If you don't sign, then we'll see each other in court. The judge will know exactly where all those assets under your name came from, and what you and this Mr. Su did. Zhou Wenbin. Yi Mengshu rushed over, grabbing my collar. Are you trying to drive me to my death? I grabbed her wrist and pried it open little by little. Yi Mengshu. I looked into her eyes. You forced me into this first. She froze, staring at me as if she were seeing me for the first time. Also, I released my grip and straightened my collar, which she had crumpled. From today onwards, I am no longer the company's CEO. I have already sent my resignation letter to the board's email address, and I will have my secretary handle the formalities. What? Yi Jiangwo jumped to his feet. Wenbin, are you crazy? Do you know what you're saying? I know very well. I said, Chairman Yi, you know how much I've sacrificed for the company over these 7 years. But now, I feel tired and want to take a break. You founded the company from scratch, so you can decide what to do. After saying that, I turned and left. Zhou Wenbin, Yi Mengshu screamed behind me. You dare leave. Don't ever come back. I didn't look back and walked straight out of the office. The corridor was quiet, with only the sound of my own footsteps, one after another, tapping loudly on the floor. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside and pressed the close button. Just before the door closed, I heard Yi Mengshu's hysterical sobs, Yi Jiangwo's angry curses, and Su Ziming's flustered explanation. But all of this is no longer relevant to me. The elevator slowly descended, and I looked at my face in the mirror. I was very calm, and even felt a little like laughing. For the first time in 7 years, I feel free to breathe. After leaving the company, I drove to the law firm. Attorney Wang was already waiting for me. When I came in, he handed me a document. Mr. Zhou, this is the divorce agreement signed by Yi Mengshu. Attorney Wang said, as per your request, she has only retained the small apartment she owned before the marriage. All other assets, including properties and shops purchased with company funds, will be returned. In addition, she voluntarily relinquished all her company shares as compensation to you. I flipped through the agreement and nodded. Where is Su Ziming? The police have already opened a case involving suspected illegal fundraising and embezzlement. The evidence is conclusive, and the sentence is at least 10 years. Attorney Wang paused. In addition, the money he took from Yi Mengshu was marital property, and you can try to recover it. Okay, I'll leave this to you. Okay. Attorney Wang looked at me, hesitated for a moment, and said, Mr. Zhou, there's something I'm not sure if I should say. You say, aren't you letting Yi Mengshu off too easily? Attorney Wang said, with the evidence we have, we can make her leave with nothing, and even pursue her criminal liability. I closed the agreement and looked out the window. The winter sun shone through the glass window, casting a patch of light and shadow on the floor. 7 years of marriage. I said, this is my last act of affection. Attorney Wang nodded and said nothing more. After signing the papers, I left the law firm. The sun was shining brightly outside, its warmth comforting me. I stood by the roadside, took a deep breath, then took out my phone and dialed Qin Shue's number. Hello? Her voice was soft, with a hint of uncertainty. Qin Shue, I said, I'm divorced. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the phone. Then I heard her say, where are you? I'm coming to find you. No need. I said, I'll come pick you up. I'll take you somewhere. Where to? You'll know when you get there. An hour later, I drove Qin Shue to a villa area in the east of the city. This is the most expensive area in the city, nestled against the mountains and beside the water, with a tranquil environment. The villas are all detached, spaced far apart, ensuring excellent privacy. I parked my car in front of a villa. Qin Shue got out of the car and stared blankly at the villa in front of her. This is a 3-story Chinese-style villa with white walls, gray tiles, upturned eaves, and bamboo planted in the courtyard. A stream flows in front of the door, giving it the charm of a Jiangnan garden. This is... Qin Shue looked at me. I bought it, I said, and it was just transferred to my name. Qin Shue's eyes widened. Let's go in and take a look. I took her hand and led her into the courtyard. The courtyard is large, with artificial hills, a pond, a pavilion, and a small plum grove. It is currently the season when plum blossoms are in full bloom, and the courtyard is filled with fragrance. Qin Shue walked and looked around, her eyes sparkling, like a child entering the Grandview Garden. Do you like it? I asked. I like it. Qin Shue nodded, then shook her head. But it's too expensive. It's not expensive. I interrupted her. 90 million. All in cash. Qin Shue gasped. I smiled and led her into the villa. The villa features Chinese-style decor, but incorporates modern elements, creating a space that is both rustic and elegant, yet comfortable and cozy. The first floor houses the living room, dining room, and kitchen. The second floor contains bedrooms and a study, and the third floor features a large terrace overlooking the entire courtyard and distant mountain views. I've been looking at this house for a long time, I said. I personally oversaw everything from the design to the renovation. I know you like quiet and nature, so I chose this place. The bamboo in the yard was brought from Suzhou by me. The plum trees are from Hangzhou, and the koi in the pond were airlifted from Japan. I turned around and looked at Qin Shui. For the past 7 years, I've thought about it every single day. What would we be like now if I hadn't let go back then? Qin Shui's eyes reddened. I know some mistakes can't be undone, and some wounds can never be fully healed. I held her hand. But Qin Shui, I want to spend the rest of my life loving you and making it up to you. Will you give me that chance? Qin Shui cried, and large tears streamed down her face. But she didn't say anything. She just threw herself into my arms and hugged me tightly. Her body trembled, like a leaf falling in the wind. I held her in my arms as if she were a lost treasure that had been found again. I do, she said, crying. In my arms. Zhou Wenbin. I do. I closed my eyes and hugged her tightly. 7 years later, I finally found her again. We spent the afternoon in the villa. Qin Shui, like a child, looked through every room and touched every corner. She said her favorite spot was the third-floor terrace, where she could see the distant mountains and the starry sky, and that she could drink tea, read books, and daydream there someday. I said, okay, I'll do whatever you say. In the evening, we sat in the restaurant on the first floor for dinner. I cooked the dishes, which were very simple, 3 dishes and a soup. But Qin Shui ate with great relish, saying it was the best meal she had eaten in 7 years. After dinner, we sat on the sofa in the living room. Outside the window, the sky was gradually darkening. Only one floor lamp was on in the room, casting a warm yellow glow that enveloped us. It was quiet and cozy. Qin Shui leaned on my shoulder and whispered, Zhou Wenbin, I feel like I'm dreaming. It's not a dream, I said. It's real. So, is Yimengshu really all right? Yes. It's all taken care of, I said. From now on, she and I have nothing to do with each other. Qin Shui was silent for a moment, then said, actually, I've met her once. I was taken aback for a moment. When? 3 years ago, Qin Shui said, at a business cocktail party. She was holding your hand. Very beautiful, very arrogant, and looked at people as if they were ants. At that time, I thought, you must be very happy to be with her. After all, she is so outstanding and so dazzling. I'm not happy, I said. I haven't been happy in the past 7 years. Qin Shui looked up at me. Being with her, I was acting every day, playing the role of a good husband, a good son-in-law, and a good boss. I smiled bitterly. In the end, I almost forgot what I was really like. And now? Qin Shui asked. Are you really yourself now? Yes. I nodded. I don't need to act in front of you. Qin Shui smiled, her eyes curving into crescents. From now on, just be yourself. Cry when you want to cry, laugh when you want to laugh, and throw a tantrum when you want to throw a tantrum. You don't have to suppress yourself anymore. Okay, I said. I'll do whatever you say. Outside the window, it was completely dark, and the stars began to shine one by one. We nestled together like that, neither of us speaking, just quietly listening to each other's breathing and feeling each other's body temperature. 7 years have passed, and my life is finally back on track. The next day, I took Qin Shui to see my parents. As soon as my mother saw Qin Shui, she took her hand, her eyes brimming with tears, and said, my good child, I'm so sorry you had to go through all this. Qin Shui's eyes also reddened, and she shook her head, saying, I'm not wronged. Auntie, it was my own choice. My dad didn't say anything. He just patted me on the shoulder and said, treat them well. At noon, my mom cooked a table full of dishes, all of which Qin Shui loved. During the meal, she kept putting food on Qin Shui's plate, saying that Qin Shui was too thin and needed to eat more. Qin Shui didn't refuse and ate obediently, making my mom beam with joy. After dinner, my dad and I played chess on the balcony, while Qin Shui and my mom washed the dishes in the kitchen, chatting and laughing together in a harmonious atmosphere. My dad made a move, then suddenly asked, Binbin, what are you planning to do in the future? What about the company? I quit my job. I said, I want to start my own business. My dad was taken aback for a moment. Do it yourself? Are you sure you can handle it? Yes. I nodded. In these 7 years, I've accumulated a lot of resources and connections, and I've also seen through a lot of things. Working on my own might be a bit tough, but it's more comfortable. So, is the money enough? That's enough, I said. The money I got from the divorce. plus my own savings, is enough to start my business. My dad nodded and didn't say anything more. I know he's worried about me, but some roads I have to walk alone. Some hurdles I have to overcome alone. After leaving my parents' house, Qin Shui said she wanted to see a movie. So we went to a nearby shopping mall. The mall was crowded and lively on the weekend. Like an ordinary couple, we held hands, bought popcorn and Coke, and then went inside to watch the movie. The movie was a romance. A very cliched plot, but Qin Shui watched it intently, even secretly wiping away tears at the touching parts. I reached out and took her hand. She turned to look at me, her eyes sparkling in the dim light. The movie ended after 9 p.m. We followed the crowd out of the theater, and it started to drizzle. I didn't have an umbrella, so I took off my coat, held it over Qin Shui's head, and protected her as we walked towards the parking lot. The rain wasn't heavy, but it was dense, and it felt cool on my face. Qin Shui leaned against me and whispered, "Zhou Wenbin, I feel very happy right now." I didn't say anything. I just hugged her tighter. Yes, happiness. I haven't thought about this word in a long time. But now, it's in my arms, within my reach. However, life is always full of surprises. Just when I thought everything was going in a good direction, Yi Mengshu came knocking on my door again. It was the day before New Year's Day. Qin Shui and I were decorating the villa, preparing to welcome the new year. The doorbell rang, and I went to open the door. Yi Mengshu was standing outside. She had lost a lot of weight. Her face was pale, her eyes were red and swollen, and she looked extremely haggard. She was wearing old clothes, and her hair was unkempt, draped messily over her shoulders, completely devoid of its former radiance. When she saw me, her eyes lit up, and then tears started falling. "Bin," she cried and rushed over to hug me. I dodged to the side, and she missed her target, almost falling over. "Miss Yi, is there something you need?" I asked, my tone indifferent. Yi Mengshu steadied herself, raised her head, and looked at me in disbelief. Bin, how could you do this to me? I'm your wife. Ex-wife. I corrected her. The divorce papers have been signed, and we have no relationship now. No, I didn't sign it. You forced me to sign that agreement. I don't accept it. Yi Mengshu screamed. Bin, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I shouldn't have been with Su Ziming. I shouldn't have taken your money. I shouldn't have said those hurtful things to you. Please give me another chance. Okay, let's start over. I promise. I'll never do it again. She cried her heart out, like an abandoned child. But I felt no ripples in my heart. Yi Mengshu, I said, some mistakes can be forgiven. Some mistakes cannot. Why not? Yi Mengshu grabbed my arm. Zhou Wenbin, can our 7 years of relationship not be worth a single mistake? Can't you give me another chance? I looked at her, at the woman I had loved for 7 years. 7 years. More than 2.500 days and nights. I gave my all, only to be betrayed and deceived in return. Yi Mengshu, I said, enunciating each word clearly. I've given you many chances, but each time, you chose someone else. Now, it's my turn. I choose not to give you another chance. Yi Mengshu was stunned and slowly loosened her grip on my hand. She looked at me, her eyes shifting from pleading to despair, and then to resentment. Zhou Wenbin, you'll regret this, she said through gritted teeth. Without me, without my father, you're nothing. Do you think you can survive without the Yi family? Let me tell you, dream on. Whether I can make a living or not is none of your concern. I said, please leave. Miss Yi, I'm not leaving. Yi Mengshu suddenly rushed into the house like a mad woman. This is your house, isn't it? Are you hiding another woman here? Let me in. I want to see which vixen it is. Her words came to an abrupt end, because Qin Shui came out from inside. Qin Shui wore a beige sweater and light blue jeans today. Her hair was loosely tied back, and she had no makeup on, but she looked clean and refreshing, like a fresh lily. She walked over to me, naturally took my arm, then looked at Yi Mengshu and asked with a smile, Wenbin, who is this? Yi Mengshu's eyes widened as she looked at Qin Shui, then at me, as if she understood something, and her face instantly turned ferocious. It's you, she screamed. Qin Shui, you bitch. You stole my husband. As she spoke, she lunged forward. I stood in front of Qin Shui and grabbed Yi Mengshu's wrist. Yi Mengshu, my voice was as cold as ice. Watch your mouth. Also, it's me who wants a divorce. It has nothing to do with Qin Shui. If you want to cause trouble, come at me. Don't touch her. Yi Mengshu was held by me and couldn't move. She could only glare at me with red eyes, her gaze like it was poisoned. Zhou Wenbin, you've got some nerve, she said through gritted teeth. For a woman like this, you've even abandoned your family. Home. I laughed. Yi Mengshu, tell me, is that really home? It's nothing more than a gilded cage that you and your father gave me. Now, I don't want to stay anymore. I want to fly away. Is there a problem with that? Yi Mengshu was speechless, staring at me intently, her chest heaving violently. And another thing, I released her hand and pushed her back a step. From now on, don't come looking for me again. And don't appear in front of Qin Shui again. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what I might do. Yi Mengshu looked at me as if she were seeing me for the first time. Then, she suddenly laughed, a shrill laugh like that of a night owl. Fine, fine. Zhou Wenbin, you're ruthless, she said with a laugh. I'll wait and see the day this woman dumps you. I'll wait and see the day you're left with nothing. After saying that, she turned around and ran away. Staggering, I closed the door, turned around, and hugged Qin Shui. Qin Shui leaned against me and whispered, she seems to hate me. She doesn't hate you. I said, she hates the feeling of losing control. Before, she thought I couldn't live without her. Couldn't live without the Yi family. So she could do whatever she wanted. After the door closed, the room was very quiet. Raindrops pattered against the window pane, making a soft pattering sound. Qin Shui leaned against me, her body still trembling slightly. I gently patted her back and whispered, it's all right. She's gone. Qin Shui looked up, her eyes glistening with tears. Wenbin, have I caused you trouble? Don't talk nonsense. I ruffled her hair. I'm the one who should apologize. I'm sorry you had to see this. She looked really sad. She brought it on herself. My voice turned cold. 7 years. I gave her far too many chances. Qin Shui didn't say anything more, but just hugged me even tighter. That night, Qin Shui stayed at the villa. We slept in each other's arms, doing nothing but quietly holding each other, listening to each other's breathing, until dawn. The next day was New Year's Day, the first day of the new year. When I woke up in the morning, Qin Shui was no longer in bed. I got up and went downstairs. The aroma of frying eggs wafted from the kitchen. Qin Shui was wearing my white shirt, the sleeves rolled up to her elbows, busy at the stove. The morning light streamed in through the window, casting a soft silhouette on her. Awake? She turned her head and smiled at me. Go wash up. Breakfast will be ready soon. I stood at the kitchen doorway and watched her for a long time. This moment felt as real as a dream. After washing up, breakfast was already on the table. Fried eggs, toast, milk, and a plate of fruit. Simple, but heartwarming. Qin Shui sat down opposite me, resting her chin on her hands, her eyes sparkling as she looked at me. Try it. This is my first time cooking here. I don't know if it suits your taste. I took a bite of the fried egg. It was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, cooked to perfection. It's delicious, I said. Qin Shui smiled, her eyes curving into crescent moons. My phone kept vibrating while I was eating. I glanced at it and saw it was a call from Yi Jiangwo, along with dozens of WeChat messages from Yi Mengshu. I immediately turned it off and tossed it aside. Aren't you going to answer? Qin Shui asked. There's no need, I said. I just want to spend time with you today. Qin Shui lowered her head, her cheeks slightly flushed. After dinner, we cleaned up the dishes together, then sat on the sofa in the living room, planning for the new year. Qin Shui said she wanted to expand her studio and open her own brand store. I said okay, I support you. She said she hadn't decided on a location yet, and I said no rush. We'll take our time. The sun was shining brightly outside the window, and the plum blossoms in the courtyard were in full bloom. Their fragrance drifted in through the window. It was faint and elegant. Qin Shui leaned on my shoulder and whispered, Wenbin, I feel like I'm dreaming. 7 years have passed, and I never imagined we could sit together like this again. We can do this every day from now on. I said, once your studio is stable, we'll get our marriage certificate, have a simple wedding, and only invite our closest relatives. Then, we'll have a child, a boy or a girl, whatever you like. Qin Shui looked up at me, her eyes glistening with tears. What's wrong? I wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes. I was thinking, she sniffed, that if we hadn't broken up back then, our kids would probably be in elementary school by now. My heart felt like it had been pricked by a needle. I'm sorry, I said. No, don't say sorry. Qin Shui shook her head. It's fine as it is. Really. I pulled her into my arms. resting my chin on the top of her head. Yes, it's fine as it is now. Although it's 7 years too late. At least we still have the rest of our lives. After the New Year's Day holiday, I officially began preparing for my new company. The office was located in an office building in the city center, and we rented an entire floor. I personally oversaw the decoration. The style was simple and bright, with gray and white as the main colors. It didn't have the luxurious style of the Yi Group, but it exuded professionalism and efficiency everywhere. I also built the team from scratch. I poached several trustworthy senior executives from the Yi Group and recruited a group of energetic young people. Attorney Wang became my legal counsel, and Zhao Kai also resigned from his original job to help me manage the market. On the day the company was registered, I stood in the empty office, looking out at the city, and felt very calm. 7 years have passed, and I can finally do what I want to do, according to my own wishes. Qin Shui's studio has also moved to a new location, right downstairs from my office, and it's 3 times larger than before. She said it's more convenient this way. Whenever I want to see her, I can just go downstairs and see her. I smiled and nodded, saying okay. Days passed by peacefully and fulfillingly. Yi Mengshu never came to see me again, and Yi Jiangwo never contacted me again either. I heard that the Yi Group had several projects halted due to a broken capital chain, and its stock price had dropped by a third. Yi Jiangwo was begging for money everywhere, but no one was willing to help him. People in the business world are very pragmatic. There are many who add to the glory, but few who offer help in times of need. As for Su Ziming, his case has already entered the judicial process. Attorney Wang said it will take at least 10 years, and he will have to return all the money he swindled. The defrauded investors have filed a joint lawsuit against him, and the civil damages alone will be enough to bankrupt him. Occasionally, I still see news about Yi Mengshu in financial news. Paparazzi photographed her shopping for groceries at a discount store, dressed very plainly, a far cry from her former glamorous self. Another time, she was photographed drinking heavily at a bar, completely intoxicated, and being carried out by 2 strange men. Every time I see these things, I feel nothing. Some people and some things, once they're gone, are gone forever, like a scar on your body. Once it heals, it won't hurt anymore, but it will leave a mark, reminding you of what happened. Late January, the Lunar New Year is just around the corner. The festive atmosphere on the streets was getting stronger, with red lanterns hanging in shopping malls and cheerful music playing on a loop in supermarkets. Qin Shui said she wanted to buy New Year's gifts for my parents, so she dragged me shopping for an entire afternoon. She bought my dad a cashmere sweater, my mom a silk scarf, and a set of skincare products for my younger sister, who is actually my adoptive parents' biological daughter, 5 years younger than me, and works in another city. She carried loads of bags and packages, her hands full. That's enough, I said. I can't carry any more. And your aunt, your uncle, your cousin. Qin Shui counted on her fingers. We can't go empty-handed for the first meeting. Seeing her serious expression, my heart melted. Qin Shui, I said, you don't need to be so nervous. My family members are all very easy to get along with. I know, she said softly, lowering her head, but I still want to make a good impression on them. I took her hand and said, you've done so well. Qin Shui looked up, smiled at me, and her eyes were bright. It was already dark when we came out of the mall. We found a restaurant to eat at, and just as we sat down, my phone rang. It's an unfamiliar number, but it belongs to this city. I answered. Hello? Binbin. It's me. Yi Mengshu's voice came from the other end of the phone, hoarse, tired, and with a hint of cautious flattery. I frowned. What's wrong? I want to see you. Yi Mengshu's voice was trembling with tears. Just once. 10 minutes. No, 5 minutes is fine. I'll wait for you downstairs at your place. Could you come down for a moment? I'm busy, I said. Also, Ms. Yi, I've already told you. Don't contact me again. Binbin, please. Just 5 minutes. Yi Mengshu's voice became urgent. I really have something very important to tell you. About the company. About my dad. Please come down for a second. Okay, I promise. I'll leave after I finish and never bother you again. I remained silent for a few seconds. Wait, I said, and hung up the phone. Qin Shui looked at me. It's her? Okay, I nodded. They said they have something to do and are waiting for me downstairs. I'll go down for a bit and be right back. I'll go with you. Qin Shui said. No need, I said, holding her hand. You wait here for me. Order the food, and I'll be right back. Qin Shui looked at me with a hint of worry in her eyes, but still nodded. Then, be careful. I smiled, got up, and left the restaurant. Stepping out of the mall, the wind was biting cold, cutting like knives against my face. I saw Yi Mengshu across the street. She was standing under a street lamp, wearing only a thin coat, shivering from the cold. She was carrying a plastic bag, the contents of which I couldn't tell. When she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she quickly walked over. Binbin, she began, her voice trembling. What is it? Speak quickly. I didn't look at her. My gaze was fixed on the traffic in the distance. Yi Mengshu bit her lip and handed over the plastic bag in her hand. This is for you. I glanced down and saw a lunchbox and a thermos in the plastic bag. I made these dumplings myself. Yi Mengshu said softly. You used to love my dumplings the most. The ones with chives and pork filling. And this one, it's chicken soup. I simmered it for 4 hours. No need. I interrupted her. Miss Yi, if you're just here to deliver this, you can leave. Yi Mengshu's hand froze in midair, and the smile on her face gradually faded. She withdrew her hand, hugged the plastic bag to her chest, lowered her head, and after a long while, whispered, Binbin, my dad is in the hospital. I paused for a moment, then turned to look at her. Yi Mengshu raised her head, her eyes red and tears welling up. Heart disease. Very serious. The doctor said I need a bypass. The surgery will cost 300,000 yuan. I don't have the money. As she spoke, tears fell, one by one, onto the plastic bag in her arms. I sold my little apartment. But all the money went to pay off debts. Ziming. Su Ziming is going to lose a lot of money. Those investors are blocking my door every day. My dad's company is going bankrupt too. The bank is pressing for loan payments, and the suppliers are pressing for payment. She sobbed uncontrollably. Binbin, I really have no other choice. I can only come to you. Can you lend me 300,000 yuan? After my dad's surgery, I'll find a job and I'll definitely pay you back. I swear. Looking at the woman in front of me, her face streaked with tears, I felt no emotion whatsoever. It's been 7 years, and every time she cries, my heart softens. But not anymore. Yi Mengshu, I said, is 300,000 a significant amount of money to you? Yi Mengshu was stunned, staring blankly at me. Your bag, 300,000, your pair of earrings, 500,000, a meal with Su Ziming, 20,000, I said, word by word. Back then, why didn't you think about where all that money came from? Yi Mengshu opened her mouth, but couldn't say anything. Your dad needs money for surgery. That's fine, I said, but not alone. It's a repayment. Still, Yi Mengshu didn't understand. You know in your heart how much money you've taken from the company and from me over these 7 years. I said, some of that money is rightfully yours, and some isn't. But considering that your father did help me back then, I can give him 300,000 yuan as repayment for the 3 million he owed him back then. Yi Mengshu's eyes lit up. Really? You're willing. But I have conditions. I interrupted her. First, from now on, we're even. You, your father, and your Yi family have nothing to do with me anymore. Second, you're not allowed to appear in front of me again, nor contact me, and you're not allowed to harass Qin Shui. Third, handle Su Ziming's matter yourself, and don't bother me anymore. Yi Mengshu's face turned pale. Her lips trembled, and she couldn't speak for a long time. Will you agree or not? I asked. I agree. Yi Mengshu lowered her head, her voice barely audible. The money. Send me your account number. It will be credited to your account tomorrow. After I finished speaking, I turned to leave. Binbin. Yi Mengshu called out to me from behind. I stopped walking, but didn't turn around. I really know I was wrong, she said, crying. If I had another chance, I definitely wouldn't. There are no what-ifs. I interrupted her. Yi Mengshu, life has no what-ifs, only consequences and results. After saying that, I walked into the mall without looking back. Behind me, Yi Mengshu's suppressed sobs drifted far away in the cold night wind. Back at the restaurant, all the dishes had been served. Qin Shui saw me and stood up. How is she? It's all right, I said, sitting down. Let's eat. The food's getting cold. Qin Shui looked at me, hesitant to speak, but ultimately didn't ask. She just put a piece of pork rib on my plate and said, "Eat more. You've lost weight." I smiled and lowered my head to eat. The pork ribs were stewed until very tender, melting in my mouth. But for some reason, I couldn't taste anything. Yi Mingshu's crying and her words kept echoing in my mind. 300,000 yuan is nothing to me now. But for Yi Mingshu, it could really be a lifeline. Should I give it to them? Should. But it wasn't because I was soft-hearted. It was because I wanted to end things completely. This 300,000 yuan not only bought out the last bit of affection between me and the Yi family, but also all the resentment, grievances, and hatred I had felt over the past 7 years. From now on, we owe each other nothing, and may each live our own lives in peace. Wenbin, Qin Shui suddenly spoke. Are you all right? I looked up and saw her worried eyes, and my heart warmed. It's nothing, I said, holding her hand. I just feel that some things should be let go. Qin Shui grasped my hand in return and nodded firmly. Yes. It's better to let go so we can move forward. Yes. Only by letting go can we move forward. As for me, I've already gone very far, and I won't turn back. The next day, I transferred 300,000 yuan to the account provided by Yi Mingshu. After the transfer was successful, I blocked all of Yi Mingshu's contact information, including her father's, her friends, and anyone else who might be related to her. Then, I tossed my phone aside and started working. The new company is now officially operational, and our first project is a smart logistics system. This is a field I've researched for a long time. The market potential is huge, and the competition is relatively low. The team is fantastic. They created a prototype in less than a month. Zhao Kai was in charge of marketing. He and his team visited more than a dozen cities and secured orders from 3 large logistics companies. Although the amounts were not large, it was a good start. Qin Shui's studio was also on track. Her first batch of spring designs was a great success, and several boutiques approached her to discuss collaborations. She said she wanted to treat me to dinner to celebrate. I said, okay, you choose the place. Life went on like this, busy and fulfilling. Occasionally, I think of Yi Mingshu, Yi Jiangwo, and the Yi Group, but those images are becoming increasingly blurry, like faded old photographs, lacking their original vibrancy and warmth. I heard that Yi Jiangwo's surgery was successful, but after being discharged from the hospital, he sold his company, paid off all his debts, and took Yi Mingshu back to his hometown. Yi Mingshu opened a small supermarket there, barely making ends meet. As for Su Ziming, the first instance verdict came down, 12 years in prison and over 30 million yuan in compensation. All his assets were frozen. He sold his house and car, but it still wasn't enough. All of this was told to me by attorney Wang. After listening, I simply said, oh, and continued with my work. Some people are destined to be just passers-by in our lives. What's past is past. The Spring Festival is getting closer and closer. Qin Shui started preparing for the new year, buying gifts for everyone in the family. She even bought my dad a high-quality Go set and my mom a massage chair, saying that she was getting old and needed to take better care of her health. Watching her bustling around, I felt a warm glow in my heart. This is what home should look like. It has warmth, a lively atmosphere, and a human touch. On the 28th day of the 12th lunar month, the company closed for the holiday. I gave each employee a generous year-end bonus and a large red envelope. Zhao Kai patted me on the shoulder and said, "Old Zhou, working for you is a promising future." I laughed and punched him lightly. "Stop flattering me. And work hard next year." "Absolutely." After get off work, Qin Shui and I drove back to my parents' house. The traffic was terrible, with people everywhere rushing home for the Chinese New Year. Qin Shui was a little nervous and kept asking me, "Won't your aunt and uncle find me annoying?" "No," I said, holding her hand. "They like you so much. They keep urging me to bring you home for dinner." "Real?" "Real." It was already dark when we got home. The house was brightly lit, and the aroma of food wafted out. It smelled wonderful. My mom heard the car, opened the door, and her face lit up with a smile when she saw us. "You're back? Come in. Come in. It's cold outside." Qin Shui sweetly called out Auntie and handed over the bag she was carrying. "Auntie, these are for you and Uncle. Just a little something." "Oh, you're here already. Why did you buy anything?" My mom took the things and pulled Qin Shui's hand to lead her into the house. "Come in and warm up. The food is all ready. We've been waiting for you." My dad also came out of the study. when he saw Qin Shui. He nodded and a rare smile appeared on his face. Little Qin is here. Have a seat. The table was laden with food, chicken, duck, fish, and meat. My mother kept putting food on Qin Shui's plate, saying, Xiao Shui, eat more. Look how thin you are. Come over often, and Auntie will cook you delicious food. Qin Shui blushed and nodded. Thank you, Auntie. My dad opened a bottle of wine, poured me a glass, and then poured Qin Shui a glass of juice. Come on. Welcome Qin Shui to our home for the new year. We clinked glasses and drank it all in one gulp. The liquor is spicy, but it warms the heart. After dinner, Qin Shui insisted on washing the dishes, but my mother wouldn't let her. The two of them pushed each other back and forth in the kitchen, but in the end, they washed them together. My dad and I were playing chess in the living room. After he made a move, he suddenly said, Binbin, you made the right choice this time. I paused for a moment, then looked up at him. Little Qin is an honest and kind-hearted kid, my dad said, looking towards the kitchen with a smile in his eyes. He's much better than your previous one. My nose felt a little sore, and I lowered my head. Dad, I'm sorry for making you worry all these years. Why say all this? My dad waved his hand. As long as you're doing well, your mother and I are at ease. Just then, Qin Shui and my mother came out of the kitchen. My mother carried a plate of cut fruit, placed it on the coffee table, sat down next to me, took my hand, and whispered, Binbin, Mom has something to ask you. Please speak. You and Xiao Shui, when are you planning to get married? My mother's eyes sparkled. Mom is looking forward to holding her grandson. Qin Shui heard this, and her face turned red to the roots of her ears. I smiled and took Qin Shui's hand. We'll do it after the new year. Really? My mom was so excited she almost jumped for joy. Then we'll have to get really ready. Has the date been set? The hotel? The wedding dress? Who should we invite? Oh dear. I need to think about this carefully. Seeing my mother's excited expression, Qin Shui and I exchanged a smile. Outside the window, the sound of firecrackers rose and fell, and in the distance, someone was setting off fireworks. Their colorful lights exploding in the night sky. It was beautiful. The new year is really coming. On New Year's Eve, Qin Shui and I got up very early. We put up spring festival couplets, hung lanterns, cleaned the house, and prepared the New Year's Eve dinner. Qin Shui was the head chef, and I assisted her. The two of us worked all afternoon, preparing a huge table of dishes. Dinner was served promptly at 6 o'clock in the evening. The meal was plentiful, with fish, meat, chicken, duck, and several hometown dishes that Qin Shui had specially learned to make that my parents love. The four of us sat around the table and raised our glasses in celebration. Happy New Year, we said in unison. The cups clinked together, making a crisp sound. After dinner, we watched the Spring Festival Gala together. Although the programs get more and more boring every year, it felt wonderful to sit together as a family, chatting and laughing. Just before midnight, deafening firecrackers went off outside the window, and fireworks bloomed in the night sky, illuminating the entire city. Qin Shui leaned on my shoulder and whispered, Wenbin, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, I said, leaning down to plant a kiss on her forehead. From now on, we'll spend every year together. Okay, Qin Shui nodded. It's a deal. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number, but the registered address was from my hometown. I frowned and answered, Hello? Binbin, it's me. Yi Mingshu's voice came from the other end of the phone, tinged with a cautious, ingratiating tone. Happy New Year. My heart sank. Qin Shui heard it too, looked up at me, and looked at me with a questioning look in her eyes. Is something the matter? I asked, my voice cold. No, it's nothing. I just wanted to wish you a Happy New Year. Yi Mingshu's voice trembled slightly. And thank you for the 300,000 yuan. My dad's surgery was very successful. The doctor said he's recovering very well. Okay, I got it, I said. Anything else? If not, I'll hang up. Wait, Yi Mingshu exclaimed anxiously. Binbin, I want to ask you, are you going home for Chinese New Year this year? Go home. I didn't understand. Go home. Come back to our home. Yi Mingshu whispered. Even though we're divorced, this will always be your home. My dad said he wants you to come back for the new year, so the whole family can get together. I laughed. The laughter was cold, and even I felt like a stranger to it. Yi Mingshu, I said, emphasizing each word. Have you forgotten that we're divorced? Your home is not my home. But Binbin. And another thing. I interrupted her. I already have a family. I'm very happy with Qin Shui. Please don't call me again. There was silence on the other end of the phone. After a long while, Yi Mingshu's voice, trembling with tears, finally came through. Qin Shui, you're really with her? Yes. I said. We're together. And we're getting married soon. No. It's impossible. Yi Mingshu's voice began to tremble. Binbin, you're lying to me, aren't you? How could you fall in love with someone else so quickly? Have you forgotten our 7 years together? I haven't forgotten. I said. I remember very clearly how I spent these past 7 years. I also remember very clearly how you treated me. Yi Mingshu. Some things, once done, can never be undone. No. Binbin. I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Okay. I promise. I will definitely change in the future. I will definitely treat you well. Let's start over. Okay. Yi Mingshu cried out, her voice filled with despair. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Yi Mingshu, listen to me. I said, it's over between us. It was over the moment you transferred that 10 million to Su Ziming. It was over the moment you told everyone that he was your ideal type. It was over the moment you chose others and abandoned me time and time again. No, that's not it. And one more thing. I interrupted her. I just spent 90 million to buy Qin Shui a villa. We'll be spending the new year here. And we'll be living here from now on. So, no need for that. I appreciate your kindness. There was a deathly silence on the other end of the phone. Only suppressed. Intermittent sobs could be heard. Binbin. Yi Mingshu's voice was as soft as a wisp of smoke. You really don't want me anymore? No thank you. I said. Goodbye. Yi Mingshu. Happy New Year. And I hope you find true happiness in the future. After I finished speaking, I hung up the phone and then blocked the number. Qin Shui looked at me, her eyes glistening with tears. Wenbin. I pulled her into my arms, resting my chin on the top of her head. It's all in the past. Outside the window, the clock struck midnight. The new year has officially begun, and I have completely bid farewell to the past and ushered in a new life. After the Spring Festival holiday, life returned to normal. The company's business is developing smoothly, and its intelligent logistics system has gained a reputation in the industry, with orders coming in one after another. The team has also doubled in size, and more than 30 new employees have been hired. Zhao Kai said that at this rate, revenue exceeding 100 million yuan by the end of the year is no problem. Qin Shui's studio also received several big orders. A clothing brand was interested in her designs and wanted to collaborate with her long-term. She said she wanted to start her own company, and I wholeheartedly supported her and even offered to invest money in her. She refused, saying she wanted to rely on herself. In early March, Qin Shui and I got our marriage certificate. There was no wedding ceremony, just a meal together between the two families. My parents, Qin Shui's parents, and my sister, 7 people in total, booked a private room at a homestyle restaurant. The food was simple and homestyle, but the atmosphere was very warm and cozy. Qin Shui's parents are both teachers, very simple and quiet, but they are very satisfied with me. They say I'm honest and reliable, and they feel at ease in trusting their daughter to me. I toasted them and said, Dad, Mom, don't worry. I will treat Qin Shui well for the rest of my life. Qin Shui sat next to me, her eyes red, and she held back her tears. After dinner, we saw our parents off and then drove back to the villa. The moonlight was beautiful, spilling into the courtyard and bathing everything in a silvery glow. The plum blossoms had faded, but the peach blossoms were in bloom, pink and delicate, petal by petal, very pretty. Qin Shui took my hand, and we strolled in the courtyard. Wenbin, she suddenly said, I feel like the happiest person in the world right now. Me too, I said. With you, with a home, with a future. I am very content. Qin Shui stopped and turned to look at me, her eyes shining like stars in the moonlight. Wenbin, thank you, she said. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for finding me again. I cupped her face in my hands, lowered my head, and kissed her lips. Her lips were soft and sweet, with the fragrance of peach blossoms. I kissed her for a long time until she couldn't breathe. Then I let go of her. Qin Shui. I looked into her eyes. I should be the one saying these words. Thank you for not giving up on me. Thank you for giving me another chance. Qin Shui smiled, but tears fell from her eyes. Silly girl. She snuggled into my arms. There's no need for thanks between us. Yes, There's no need for thanks between us. Because we are each other's half circles. Apart, we are incomplete. Only together are we a complete circle. Days passed by, ordinary yet blissful. Qin Shui was pregnant. The pregnancy was discovered in May. We were all overjoyed, especially my mother, who went to the villa every day to make nourishing soups for Qin Shui. My father didn't say anything, but every time he came, he brought some children's toys, saying he was preparing in advance. At the company, I gradually delegated authority, dedicating more time to my family. Zhao Kai is now capable of handling things independently, which puts my mind at ease. Attorney Wang became a partner in the company, specifically responsible for legal affairs and risk control. Occasionally, I would hear some news about Yi Mengshu. I heard she later got married to a truck driver, 10 years her senior, divorced, and with a son. Life was difficult, but she seemed resigned to her fate, living a quiet and uneventful life. Yi Jiangwo wasn't in good health and was on medication, but his spirits were relatively good. He would occasionally help out at Yi Mengshu's supermarket. I heard all of this from people who came from my hometown. After hearing that, I just said oh and went back to what I was doing. Some people and some things are truly in the past, like a page turned in a book. You'll never look back. At the end of October, Qin Shui gave birth to a healthy daughter weighing 6 pounds 8 ounces. I named her Zhou Nianxue, and her nickname is Nianyan, which means that if you keep something in mind, it will eventually come back to you. Nianyan looks like Qin Shui. She has big eyes, fair skin, and 2 little dimples when she smiles. Qin Shui said she'll definitely be a beauty when she grows up. I said, it's good that she looks like you. My mom was overjoyed and wouldn't stop smiling, holding Nian Nian every day. My dad also smiled, which was rare for him, and said, our Zhou family finally has an heir. On the day of the full moon celebration, we held a small banquet, inviting only a few of our closest families. Zhao Kai came, Attorney Wang came, and a few close friends came too. Everyone ate, drank, chatted, and laughed. It was a very lively occasion. Nian Yan was very well behaved, neither crying nor fussing, but looking at the world with wide, curious eyes. Qin Shui held Nian Yan in her arms and sat down next to me with a gentle smile on her face. At that moment, I felt that my life was complete. I have a lover, children, a family, and a career. What more could one ask for? In the blink of an eye, another year has passed. Nian Yan is 1 year old now. She can say daddy and mommy and can walk unsteadily. The company went public, and its market value increased tenfold. Qin Shui's studio has also grown significantly, opening 3 branches and establishing its own brand. Everything is wonderful as a dream. But I know very well that this is not a dream. This is what I have earned today through 7 years of forbearance and 3 years of lying low. It was through countless sleepless nights, telling myself again and again to persevere, that I finally saw the dawn. It was only after being betrayed, hurt, and trampled upon that I chose to stand up and move forward, which allowed me to reach the other side. Therefore, I cherish it. Cherish everything you have now, and cherish everyone around you. Because I know that all of this was hard-won. Another spring festival has arrived. The villa was brightly decorated, filled with the festive atmosphere of the Lunar New Year. Nian Yan, dressed in a red tang suit, toddled around the living room, calling out, Daddy, hug, Mommy, hug. Qin Shui was preparing the New Year's Eve dinner in the kitchen, and I was helping my mom. My dad was playing with Nian Yan in the living room. The 2 of them, one old and one young, were constantly laughing. The food was served, and it was quite a feast. The 5 of us sat together and raised our glasses in celebration. Happy New Year, we said in unison. Outside the window, fireworks burst in the night sky, colorful and dazzling. I held Qin Shui in my arms, looking at Nian Yan in my embrace, my heart filled with gratitude. I am grateful for all my past experiences, whether good or bad. Be grateful for everything you have now, whether big or small. I am even more grateful for the future, as there is still a long road ahead that we can walk together. Wenbin, Qin Shui whispered, leaning on my shoulder. I love you. I love you too, I said, lowering my head to kiss her forehead. Forever. Forever. This word carries a lot of weight, but I know I can do it. Because some people, once they've made up their minds, it's for life. And Qin Shui is the one for me. For life. Outside the window, the sound of firecrackers was deafening. The new year has truly arrived. And I, too, truly experienced a new beginning.